Okay, hello everybody. Got my friends Kim and Erik with me. Kim is from Alabama and Erik is from Virginia. We're super excited to talk about negotiating strategies, some out of the box techniques that maybe you do currently, do, or maybe you don't. But would love, so in the middle, feel free to add comments. Would love to hear from our people. What do you do that's somewhat unusual that's working? Awesome. Well, I'm glad you two joined me today. Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
And both of you told me separately that both of you are a little bit nervous. It'll be interesting to see when it's over. I want your true opinion on how it was because what I have found is everybody's nervous. And at the end of it, they realize it's just like we're friends, just like talking to your friend.
Well, that's what I shared when I shared I saw Erik had shared the event or whatever, and so I shared it, and I was like, okay, hopefully it's just going to be like chatting with my besties that I really haven't met yet. I've met Jennifer, but not Erik. So
Yeah,
my
see,
new
you're
besties
making connections. I feel like that's part of our job too, right? I always
connections
call myself the
matter.
matchmaker.
Yeah.
Between agents, between houses, between anything that you need that I have. That's what we're here for. Okay, Tiffany. So, who wants to begin on leading the discussion?
Erik does. He said so earlier. He wanted to jump
You
in and
were
take the
very
lead.
quick with that, Kim. I like that because I was going to say you, but I always
This
I try to
morning,
say ladies first.
Jennifer will fess up too that this morning I texted him like, okay, still not really sure, and I gave her all these ideas, and she said, okay, how about this? And this was not on my list, so I'm here for it. But
Well,
let's
this was Erik's idea. The topic was
therefore,
his idea,
therefore,
and I
take it
figured,
away, Erik.
My other idea was 37 years in the business, what not to do. Uh,
and that's a good one too. Actually, maybe we'll do another
If I
one for
knew
that one.
then what I know now, yeah.
Yeah,
yeah.
that would be a really good one. We should do a follow up.
Well, I think kind of starting sort of from the beginning. For me, I like to establish common ground with whoever I'm working with. So maybe if I'm on the buy side, I want to Google that other agent, maybe check their LinkedIn, kind of like how I checked Kim, and Kim went to Alabama. I saw that. Sorry, they didn't get in. Uh, and so once you can establish some common ground, I think it usually helps. And I did one recently where, the buyer was putting his dad into this place. His dad was a retired Army vet, and the sellers, I already knew that the seller's father was a retired Army vet. So I brought that into the picture and it worked out great.
That's a good. So making that connection, right, so that you're all on the same page, right? Because that's
Yeah,
a
and you
little
can
bit.
find out who does what, and who's been where, and you can kind of just, it makes it easier.
I do think that there's a lot of importance in that, right? Establishing common ground. And also, it makes you human and makes them realize that you're not against each other. I mean, we're all in it for the common good of our clients. And if I have a client that is wanting to sell and you two have clients that want to buy, it is our job to try to make it happen if it's in the best interest of our clients, right? So sometimes agents work against each other instead of together. And I think that's an excellent point. I think that's an excellent point.
Well, and I think something that just struck me when you were saying that is that, even if we have, let's say we've negotiated the sale, we know that the negotiation's not over because you've still got to get it to the closing table and you're subject to be negotiating something all the way to the bitter end. And especially if you've ever ended up with any kind of a tense or just a little bit of an at odds situation, if you can find anything that they actually have in common, your story about the
Yeah.
two vets, they find out they have that in common. Anything you can do to kind of make them all seem human to each other again.
100%.
Well,
I Yeah, I agree with that. And the other thing, and both of you guys have well more experience, almost double, I think double the experience that I have. I've been in the industry 17 years. But most of the agents, probably 80% of the agents I'm dealing with are brand new agents. And that's one of the things I kind of, now to be clear, about 3 years ago, it aggravated me. And I've taken a different approach now. And I'm more like, hey, I recognize the fact that you're a newer agent. Let me help you. What can I help you with? And try to establish that, like, hey, we're in this together. If you need help, I'm here. to kind of walk you through the process, especially if they're a new agent. There are a lot of new agents.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think if you can find a way, and it's tricky because that people we tend to be a touchy bunch sometimes, but if you can find the right words to let them know that you understand and you are aware that this might be, a different market. This is different than what their experience, their time frame of experience may or may not have given them, as much perspective
Yeah.
as you might have. And
And I think another thing too, and it's not really negotiating that exact deal, but several years ago, back when COVID first started, you're having multiple offers. They were all over the place. Somebody gave me a letter from, I think it was a Brian Buffini letter that was like, hey, thank you so much for your offer. We're under multiple offers. And it kind of was very nice and let them know that you appreciate it. I've sort of tweaked that over the years, and I use that with all of my offers, even if they're rejected, because what I have found is people are very appreciative over the communication, over the kindness. And later, when I wrote another offer in a different listing, it was accepted because now I've got this positive working
set
relationship.
the tone.
Because of how you made them feel.
That's right.
So I keep every agent that I deal with. If they call me, I save the phone number. I take a couple notes. If they're dealing with me on another deal, I can say, oh yeah, I remember when you wrote that contract on XYZ back in March. Sorry you didn't get that one, but maybe we can do this one. And they think that I actually know this stuff.
That's
which
right.
I obviously don't because I'm 60. But
Of course you
I
do.
just look it up on my phone as soon as they call. It's
Mhm.
easy. Yeah.
I think that's awesome. So
And
go ahead.
that's where never deleting anything out of my phone serves me well too, because somebody will pop back up that I've actually worked with a year or so ago, and maybe I didn't remember, but that
Yeah.
does serve to remind me.
That's right. So that communication with an agent and building that rapport. What is another technique that you guys are doing?
Go ahead, Kim.
Well, I mean, because you have to negotiate the prices. So a lot of times, I mean, I'll just pull up comparables, and especially if I think it's astronomically overpriced, then I just call the agent. And I'm like, hey, can we work this? How did you get this number? Because this is what I'm getting, and then I'm setting the tone up front
Mhm.
that my offers might come in lower than what the seller wants to see.
Mhm. Well, I think communication is, the first line of defense. It is the most, important thing we do, and just setting expectations and setting, those ground rules, and letting the other, in this case, is your example, letting the other agent kind of have a feel for where you're coming from, and you're trying to have that conversation with them so that y'all can work together.
Yep.
To put together a win-win. You're not questioning their, strategy or, their pricing. You want to try and help them reach their goal, and use that information to better serve,
Yeah,
your
and
client as well.
what I have found is a lot of times the agents will come back and be like, yeah, you're right. The seller may be doing that, but I agree with you.
Right.
And
Well,
now you've kind of established that as well.
yeah, I was gonna say that's what you'll end up uncovering, is that it's not so much their market analysis that did it, but that they ended up agreeing to take something just because the seller said so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then back to that, and might be a little bit unethical, but you ask the questions, even though it's supposed to be confidential and they're not supposed to tell you that. Most
Oh no,
agents-
you always ask the question. It's their job to know whether or not they should answer it.
That's right. And a lot of times back to the new agents, they tell you everything, anything you could possibly want to know. So, and
Yeah.
those of you that are listening, if you have any good negotiating techniques, put them in there. Let's talk about them.
So
Eric,
are you?
go ahead.
I know the commission thing is, kind of taboo to talk about. But so, are you guys seeing any big issues with that when you're submitting your contracts? Because I found it to be a piece of cake. And some agents that are making less obviously push back, but hasn't been that big of a deal.
For me, I've had no sellers complain about offering the compensation for the buyer's agent. I haven't had any showings that I've had, or any ones that I've gotten under contract where the seller wasn't paying. I I've haven't. I mean, so far, I mean, knock on wood, so far, um, it's a little bit harder on our end, right? Because you have to establish what you're getting paid up front and let the buyers know up front what that is. But so far, I haven't had any.
I was gonna say, I really believe, the things that have not changed is that the bottom line number is the only one that matters to the seller,
That's right. And
And
you just have to show them, right? You just have to go back in and say, hey, listen, this is the way I work, whatever that commission is, and this is what I give to the buyer's agent, and this is why. And yes, it's negotiable, and yes, it's up for discussion, but not with me.
yeah, well, I was gonna say,
This is why.
negotiable doesn't mean you have to negotiate,
Right.
and I've said many, many times that, I'm fully prepared to share with you, and my value and what I bring to the table and what I'm going to do. I hope when this is all said and done, you think I'm underpaid.
Yeah.
I want to have, given you, above and beyond, service. And, the other part of this is that if I can't protect my own value, I may not be the sharpest tool in the shed. You may not be, I may not be the one you need to be hiring. If I can't protect my own value, you want someone you want every dollar, you want top dollar, you want, and you're going to need someone that, is capable.
So Kim, to your point, Kim, we get a lot of, we have kind of a mixed bag here in Northern Virginia, and a lot of people are shaving their commission. So years ago, I just started to do 100% commission guarantee so that I don't have a fight about commission up front. I tell them, if you don't think I earned it, in the end, I'll give you back whatever you think is fair. And I've met zero resistance.
Right.
And nobody's asked me for 10 cents.
You've been around as long as I have. We've established that. Did you ever remember the name Howard Brenton?
Yeah, sure.
In the training?
Uh-huh.
I have tried so hard surely everything is online now, everything's on YouTube or whatever, and I cannot find it, but he had a session.
What's his name?
Howard Brenton, Brinton, Brenton. He talked about how, I'm not going to negotiate up front. I'm going to guarantee you that I will never allow my commission to stand in the way of your transaction, but I'm not going to cut it up front. I want to be the one, if we get to a situation and I've done my job and the other agent, if there is one, has done their job, and we've gotten all parties as close as we can get them. And if the gap is small enough that I can do something about it, I mean, I can't give up my entire commission, but if the gap is something I can do something about, you won't have to ask. I'll be the first one to offer, because I want to be the one to ride in on the white horse and save the day. But if I
have a slippery slope then, because now you're putting it. Yeah, I don't do it that way.
I've never had, I mean, just much to your guarantee, you've never had an issue with it. I think when you set the stage, and it's not a standard part of my conversation, but if they start asking me to cut my commission, I'm going to explain that I respect the fact that they, are asking, and I respect the fact that we're going to have a conversation about it, but that I'm not going to do it on the front end. Because if I do it on the front end and we find ourselves in that position at the end and I can't do it again, and it's not realistic to even ask or expect me to do it again, I now look like the bad guy. I am allowing it to stand in the way. Yeah. And that's not a position that I'm going to put myself in. So if you will just trust me that I'm going to give you every dollar's worth, every penny's worth of, value. And again, I hope when it's all said and done, you believe that I've been underpaid. I just, everybody finds their own way to say it, but Howard was the one that kind of planted that seed with me. And I listened to that cassette tape a million times and wish I could find it. Yeah. And it has served me well.
I might have had it on 8-track.
Yeah. I will say Rick and Robert and Pamela and David and Andrea and Dana, put some of your negotiating techniques in there, right? But speaking of which, I had the listing. I've had 2 sets of buyers come in and say, we want to do a cash offer, no representation, no buyer representation, you should negotiate your commission because we don't need representation. Now, let's keep in mind, we all know that they have to, because you still have to write the offer. You are now working twice as hard. But in one situation, both situations, they came in astronomically low in the offer, and I said it in my sellers, and I was like, here's the offer. I did a seller net sheet, right, that showed if I negotiate my commission, let's say I do 3%, and I'll do it all for 3%. Here's what you'd come out with. And if I don't negotiate my commission and we sell it for X amount, which I know you can get in the next few days, what's the difference? And it's not taking the cash offer, you know?
Plus, it's quit using percentages and make them into dollars.
Yeah.
Because if they want 0.5%, it's real money.
Yeah.
Or if they want 1%, maybe that's 33% actually.
Yeah,
so it's not 1%.
No, because actually, if you look at commission, you cut it at 0.5%, and it depends on the price point, but it actually comes about close to 17% of what your commission actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Look at the dollars. And that's why I do that seller net sheet. Because at the end of the day, I'm trying not to make it about me. And I think that's what you were saying, Kim, also. It's not about you and your commission, but you just show it to them in black and white. I mean,
very clearly.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Erik, tell me about your guaranteed sale. Let's learn more about this.
Well, it's not a guaranteed sale, just the commission is guaranteed. So if there's any balk about commission in the beginning, or recently I was just on one 2 weeks ago, actually, and he's like, well, this other guy's doing it at 2%. And I was like, well, good for him. You know, if you want someone at 1%, I can find you someone for that too.
Yeah.
But you're going to get what you pay for. And, you know, we can talk about commission all day long, or I can just tell you, this is what I charge, and I'll give you back whatever you think is fair. Now, it was interesting because he said to me, and I remember this like it was just 10 minutes ago, because it was him and his son right across the table from me, and they look exactly the same except for 30 years difference. And I said to him, he goes, well, what if I tell you I don't like your hair? I said, well, that I would understand. I said, because the two of you guys are follically challenged. Because they were both bald. So it was kind of an icebreaker. And you know, it was funny, but you know, it never comes up after the fact.
Yeah.
Because you're saying, give me a chance to earn my keep.
Yeah.
And if you don't like what I've done, or you don't think I've earned it, I'll give you back whatever you think is fair.
Yeah.
Then you don't have to say, I do this, I do that, I do this, I do that. It eliminates a lot of that conversation.
No, I think that's awesome. That's a great idea. And you've been doing it, you said, for
10 years. Yeah. The other one I like, are you guys allowed to do automatic extensions on your stuff down there? Your listing agreements?
Tell me what that means. No, I've never heard of it.
Like if someone's apprehensive about listing for whatever, 90 days or whatever the number is. I used to say, you know, let's do it for a week, and I'll put an automatic extension in, and the automatic extension's 30-day increments unless I hear from you otherwise. And then we'll do whatever. So we're not allowed to do that in our market now. So what I've done
I've
is
never heard of that. So I'm assuming we're not either.
No. So you just take a standard 90 days or 6 months or whatever you guys do?
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things that I do also talk about negotiating on a listing price. So I think it should be listed for $1. I don't know. I give a number, and they want to come in at $1.50, you know, whatever it is. Then one thing that I do is I do an agreement to amend the contract right when I'm meeting them for a listing. So I say, hey, listen, I recommend, based off of the market data that I'm seeing, is it should be listed for $1, but you want to list it at $1.50. Can we agree that after 10 days, if you don't have 6 showings in 10 days, we're going to drop it to $1?
Right.
And they're always like, yes, but I have them sign it up front, and it's dated on the date. But what happens, because in the past I'd have the conversation, and then they would be like, when it came time for that price reduction, they would say they didn't remember it. Didn't remember having it. So now I put it, it's part of my listing packet now.
It's good. Automatic reduction.
an automatic reduction. And we can, that just sets the stage because they're like, can we do 10 days and, whatever. At the end of the day, you're getting in writing. So then you could go ahead and lower it
Right.
to the dollar. I wish the house is sold for $1.
Do you?
I thought Erik was just here. Good looks. Now he's actually giving ideas. Rick, we want you to give us an idea. Quit picking on Erik.
I brought this just in case Rick showed up today.
I like it. Oh, it's
Pickleball Rick.
Pickleball
Rick out in San Diego.
Oh, that's awesome. So those are good. Those are some good points. Anything else that you're doing?
How's the market in your area now?
In my area, God, it's gotten busy again. Like third quarter was busy and then it slowed down right before the elections. And now I got one under contract today, which usually this time of year is the time that I do my business planning. I go ahead and do my schedules for next year as far as training and consulting and all of that, and my trips. But man, I'm busy. What about you guys?
Still a little slow right here. I haven't seen, quite the pickup I was anticipating that once we got the election behind us, I think everybody's just,
We are starting to see a few days on market.
Yep, and more listings. God knows. So as I'm looking over here, I'm looking at the wall behind me, in front of me, behind you guys. That have all of our listings on it, and we used to have 8 picture frames with our listings on it. Then we went to, we now have like 32, and most of them are under contract. So listings are coming up, right? We're having more listings. Days on market is longer. Prices are leveling out, but they're still selling. Still selling within 30 to 45 days.
We've been at 5 days, for a long time, and now it's just starting to. We get these monthly updates from the title companies, and they'll tell you this is the last 10 contracts we got in Vienna, which is an area close to me. This is the last 10 we got in McLean, or this is the last 10 we got in Reston, and you can see that these are all above list. And so typically the closer into the DC, the higher the prices, less days on market, and as you get out, it becomes a little more balanced.
Yeah. Is that what you're saying too, Kim?
We're definitely in a 30 day. We're on up there, around a month on average on the market, and
we've gone up to about 45 days,
and that 3 to 350 on an average price point. So,
but it's still in my area. It's still a seller's market. It is starting. I don't believe it'll be a seller's market much longer. We're starting to see that shift with the inventory going up, but as of today, it's still a seller's market here. But I think that shift is starting across the country. It seems like everybody I've talked to starting to see it's, usually it becomes a balanced market before it becomes back into a buyer's market. It'll be interesting to see once the interest rates drop a little, if that affects it. Yeah, right.
I don't see a huge drop of rates coming.
No, but it's projected. They've already started going down a little bit. I think I saw today it said like 6.4. From everything I've read, it's going to drop a little bit every quarter of 2025, but the average is going to be at like 6%, maybe high fives. But that'll be where it kind of levels off at.
Fives would be fantastic.
Right?
Fives start to push more sellers.
Yeah, but like 5.9. Between 5.9 and 6.1, I think, is everything I've read.
Which I bought my first house at 10.5. So.
The average, the 100-year average is 6%. So it's a lot if you're currently paying 2%. But the reality is, people buy and sell out of need, usually, right?
Yeah.
And if you need to, then you'll do it. It was tricky last year, right? Last 18 months. It went up, like 11 times in 12 months, which we had never seen in 100-year history. That was insane, and that scared a lot of people, and I don't blame them. But I think now it's kind of getting a little bit more consistent. Yeah, it's not. I don't think we'll ever see it in the 3s again, 3s and 4s. I think that is of the past.
The lenders were
I think
feasting them
it
too.
proved to be an unsustainable, it's just not a healthy.
No, it's not. Okay, let's look at see what Robert Little wrote a paragraph. Sorry, Eric, I've covered you up, but only for a second. I work hard on
Stand by
sure.
fire.
I know. Sorry, yeah. That is true. Robert, we're having to read. We all got quiet for a second. Sorry.
No, Robert, he makes good points right there. Robert's the king of Vegas.
He is the king of Vegas. And he's right. I think a weaker agent, a newer agent is going to tell you whatever you want to hear, not necessarily what it'll sell at. And honestly, it's always funny too, because if I don't get the listing over that, which it's rare, but a couple of times I'm like, here, keep my card because I know you're going to list with a different agent based on price. And when they don't sell it,
When they don't
call. And they'll usually sign at that point because they're like, oh, I'm like, when you're tired of wasting the next 3 to 6 months, give me a call at that point. Let's move forward.
I had that happen with one of my neighbors twice. They didn't go with me the first time because of commission. They didn't go with me the second time. Had me over for some nasty casserole for lunch. And I said, forget it. We're not talking about commission again. And then that one failed. And then I'd sold 2 across the street from that. And one neighbor's like, why do you keep going with the route you're going? It's just not working.
Yeah, that's right.
So,
Cut your losses. Just hire me. I'll get the damn thing sold. We can break bread in celebration instead of agony.
They forget that time is money. They waste a lot of time. And
well, and then and that's a good point too, Kim, because the longer it's on the market, the more red flags go up to potential buyers. They end up selling it well below what you could have sold it for, Eric, if they had used you from the beginning and paid your commission and did whatever you recommended, price point and all of that. You've got it and it sold. You would have gotten more than if they waited 6 months and kept dropping the price down.
I got one. We're waiting for day 61 because that's our reset here. And I took it over from another agent. So we're going on January 1 because theirs expired November 1. So
we're on a 31-day reset here.
That's nice.
Yeah.
Tell me what now?
So meaning that if you take it out of the MLS, how long does it have to be out of the MLS before you re-put it in there that shows up as a new listing? For us, it's 31 days. His is 61.
Yeah, I don't know what ours is right now.
Yeah.
What's yours in Alabama?
That's what I'm saying. All of a sudden, I'm just thinking, I don't know I know they changed it here a while back. I don't know.
They keep changing it. Yeah, they changed it here too, but 31 days as of today. We'll see. It might change. So then in summing things up, I mean, so you are being able to negotiate. People are negotiable. Yes.
Yes.
Buyers, sellers, agents.
Buyers just starting to be able to here.
That is true. I agree with that. They just need the right agent that has the negotiating techniques behind them.
Well, there were multiple offers, so it was very difficult for a while. The commission thing still comes back at some agents, but we've been able to get past that for the 90% of them.
Yeah, I just tell them, like, listen, I've been doing this a long time, and it really hasn't changed. I mean, the basics of it is just the same as it always has been.
No, I'm talking about the listing agent. If you're bringing the buyer, and I have my commission written in, and listen, our commission is kind of taking a little bit of a downslide, but I do what I do, and I tell them that's not touchable.
Mm-hmm.
So,
and are your buyers making up the difference?
I haven't had the need because I've gotten the agent to agree to what we've been putting out there.
That's good.
Well,
that's really good.
You've got a strong enough buyer and your offer is written as clean and as strong as possible. You've got some leverage, in those situations. And so all of that certainly comes into play.
I think what comes into play even more around here is ego. And then these guys, you get to the closing table and you see what they made. And then you realize why they're mad at you for making what you made.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't even be
they need to sharpen their skills.
That's right. They need to work on their negotiating skills.
Yeah.
I agree. So, as we're wrapping this up, on a scale of 1 to 5, what are I did not mean to put Robert's. Oh, look. Oh, he has to get a symbol. Um,
Oh,
I didn't mean to put that up. It happened accidentally. So, on a scale of 1 to 5, you guys were both anxious, a little bit nervous about coming on today. How has it been? Easy or scary? Now that you're done.
oh no, you've made it very easy. Thank you very much. It's been very comfortable. And I've done this a time or two and I'm always nervous going in, but like I said, you did an awesome job with making us comfortable and kept the conversation going. So
And I was told that by someone else first, that don't worry about it. Jennifer will keep it going. She'll fill the airspace if it dries up. So yeah, you do make it easy. And it was outside of setting up the thing in the beginning there for me. It's
Okay,
been,
Eric. But
it's
in reality, it shouldn't have taken you very long. What was the hiccup? What was the problem?
the reality is I use a Mac and it was only set up for Google
said you
Chrome.
didn't have Chrome. So
No, okay. I use
Luckily,
the
I had a younger guy here to help me out with it.
See, don't tell your age, Eric. So then would you do it again?
Yeah.
oh yeah.
So all the people out there making comments, if you want to be on it, here's the thing. I go to a conference and about 50% of the people tell me they're upset because I haven't invited them to be on here. If I haven't invited
Really?
you, it's because I don't know that you have an interest. If you have an interest, let me know either in the comments, DM me, text me, and let me know you have an interest because I'm always looking for people to be on this with me. So I'm appreciative.
And true, and I mean, I would say if someone is out there listening and they truly do have something that they are passionate about or that they feel is a very strong skill of theirs, by all means, throw your hand up and and get on here so that we can all hear
Right.
that. As I said, I was flattered to have been asked. I'm a pretty good winger, I mean, I mean, again, I've been in the business long enough that I can hold my own into the conversation pretty much. But as Jennifer knows, I was kind of like, I have
Cheers
no
to that,
idea.
Jennifer.
Yeah, cheers to that. I was like, I have no idea what you want me to talk about. And so I just knew that we were going to get on here and have a good time. So um, I was,
Listen, Kim, I've never met you before, but I think you're awesome. I have met Jennifer before, which is kind of where this comes from. But
uh-huh.
we
We had
went.
so much
I went
fun.
down. I went down to Wilmington and met with her, and
Let's be clear, his daughter lives in Wilmington. So I got to meet his daughter, his wife. We had a really good time. A
I think
really
I'm getting
good
the
time.
gist. I'm getting the gist.
Like by the end of it, Eric told me how to find Buffalo Trace. I spent $500 on Buffalo Trace before I got up from the table. And 27 drinks later, we were home.
Yeah,
she is
So Eric,
small,
when
but
you go
she's
back to
mighty.
Wilmington,
She is small but mighty.
but mighty.
I am small and mighty.
And
I
I
want
also
to do that for
I've sent Jennifer
Halloween.
a referral that she did my clients were over the moon with her.
Yeah.
So, I think knowing someone on the other end as well is certainly a big factor.
That's a huge factor. And knowing and making sure, right? It's amazing to me how many people just throw out a referral and don't really vet them. You need to know who that person is on the other side because your referral is an extension of you.
Mm-hmm.
And if these are your friends and your past clients and your loved ones and your family, you want to pass them to somebody that's going to work them in a similar manner you would.
And also knows the area, not
Yeah.
just, coming in from another state into
Yeah.
because you know their name. I
That's
mean,
true. I agree. Yeah, it's crazy to me. That's a good point. Maybe we should have that as a topic the next time. Is how many people come in and have to ask me for the code to get into the house because they're not a licensed realtor in the area. They might be licensed in Charlotte, North Carolina, but you're going to drive 4 hours to show a house here and you don't know the area. We just had a company-wide update, and they went over 29 reasons why people have lost a real estate license in 2024, and that was one of the 29 reasons is selling an area you're not familiar with.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
I mean, because right? I mean, you need to know if there are roads coming in. I mean, you need to know what's happening in that area. Yeah, it's crazy to me.
Kim, which areas of Alabama are you covering?
I'm in North Alabama. I'm in the Huntsville Metro.
Okay.
So our MLS covers almost the entire swath across North Alabama, north of Birmingham, pretty much, with just a couple of little exceptions. So we have
How
a
far are
large.
you from the stadium?
From Tuscaloosa?
Uh-huh.
About an hour and a half.
Nice.
About an hour and a half. And like I said, I'm 45 minutes south of the Tennessee line. So, definitely right across the top of the state. And
Nice.
I have an office here in Decatur and also in Athens, which is just 15, 20 miles north of here, all in the outskirts of that larger Huntsville metro area.
Wonderful. And we know where Erik is. Virginia, right? Close to DC.
Close to DC, yeah. Covering 3 counties pretty much. We have so many different tiny little, places.
Sub areas.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you guys. We're going to do this again. Y'all both, I heard everybody on there heard y'all commit to doing it again. So let's do it again. I love it. I appreciate you too.
Thanks for having us, Jennifer.
Yes. And Erik, you need to come back down, come visit.
Yeah. I'm taking the kids to Mexico for Christmas, so we're getting out of Dodge.
Yeah. What part of Mexico?
Tulum.
Mark and I went to Tulum prior to COVID, so maybe 5 years ago. So loved it.
Oh, my wife is such a fantastic concierge too. I don't have to do anything but pay the bills.
Where are you staying in Tulum?
Who knows? Oh, I know we're doing diving in Acapulco. That much I do know.
How long are you going to be there?
Week.
It is a fabulous place. When we were there, it was everybody about my age. I mean, they might have been younger, but it wasn't like kids. It seemed to be like 30 through 60-year-old. Right. And it was a really fun. We really had a good time.
Excellent.
Yeah. Well, Merry Christmas to you guys. Safe trip, and Jennifer, thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for coming. Happy New Year, and thank you guys.
Merry Christmas to you guys.
Yeah, you too. Merry Christmas. Talk to you soon. Bye, guys.
I got my Santa hat hanging on the wall. I started to put it.
I love it. Bye, guys.
Bye.